Nick Gonzales, 5-2 on his amateur career, goes by the nickname of Consuelo and is a heavy hitter, as is his opponent, JT Schulte. I think a lot of people excited to see this one because there are guys that hit hard, throw hands, and can definitely end the fight with one solid punch. As here is Gonzales. Now we'll take a look, as he always in shape, JT Schulte.
JT Schulte.
Seems like every time we see JT Schulte, we see another new tattoo. He is sporting a couple, and one thing we always see as well is a fighter who comes in tip-top shape from top to bottom. I mean, we see some guys come in and they train their upper body. They don't pay attention to the lower body. I mean, from the toes all the way up to his neck, JT Schulte very well put together as he is in shape and ready to go for this one. Schulte makes his way into the cage, and we will make our way back up to Chris Garrity for the introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next bout features 3 rounds in our amateur lightweight division. Introducing first this man fighting out of the TNT red corner. He stands in at 5'9" tall, weighing in at 155 pounds. He represents Unified Martial Arts and hails from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. An impressive amateur record, 5 victories, only 2 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Consuelo Gonzales. His opponent, this man, fighting out of the Kearns blue corner. Also an impressive amateur record. In 9 bouts, he has 6 victories. He stands in at 5'9" tall, weighing in at 155 pounds. He hails from right here in Madison, Wisconsin, and represents the Chosen Few Gym. Ladies and gentlemen, JT Schulte.
Schulte, always a crowd favorite, and he was on my show earlier this week as well. I always like when I get to talk to the fighters beforehand and get a chance to see where their heads are at and stuff. And it seems to me Schulte, especially as of lately, has been a little bit more focused, has been putting some victories together, and we've been seeing it with his striking ability that it has gotten better and better.
Actually, one of the first times we're seeing a little bit of a feeling out process. JT Schulte doing well. Probe a jab out there, long kick, kind of feel his range. Nice little push kick.
Well, the difference in the thickness of legs between these two fighters almost staggering, as Schulte with some meaty thighs for sure, and trying to use those to his advantage early on with a lot of kicks here in the first round.
Yeah, no secret who cut more weight for this fight.
Yeah, to just think that JT Schulte makes 155 pounds is ridiculous.
It's hard to believe, right? As you take a look at his frame and how much muscle is actually packed in on that frame, as another good kick by Schulte, who right now is getting the better of Gonzales here in the first round.
So right now I like what Schulte's doing with his footwork. He's closing off the cage pretty well. He's kind of dictating where the fight goes. The one thing I'd like to see him clean up is right there. When he starts throwing and gets in the mix a little bit, his head doesn't necessarily go up, but it doesn't go down either. You got to tuck that chin and protect it behind those big old shoulders he's got there, and make sure you don't get cracked back in the process of trying to take your opponent out.
And the one thing we know about Gonzales is he is a heavy-handed kid, and he's pretty precise with his punching. That overhand right landed pretty clean, so Schulte's going to want to keep that left hand up.
Schulte as well landing, and he's got heavy hands of his own. And we have seen, Gerald, you were talking about the defense there of Schulte. We've seen him caught here, right, in this cage and go down and get knocked out in the first round just by doing that exact same thing that you were talking about.
And to his credit, on cue, as soon as I called it, he was really burying that chin on those jabs in, threw that nice right and kind of caught Gonzales here, and now he's in on a takedown on top. And this is a great place to be if you're a guy that's built like Schulte. Really short, compact, very wide, hard to get around. He's got his head up against the cage. So now right here, Gonzales trying to stand up. if Schulte can't get his back to the cage, he needs to get his head and his hips higher than Gonzales in order to keep him down.
Frame-wise, like you said with Schulte, this is one of those things where you see your coach super excited, you decided to turn pro, and he can start teaching you elbows from the guard or the mount.
Absolutely. Schulte now getting a couple lefts in on Gonzales. Schulte, by the way, sporting a red welt on the back of that left thigh as Gonzales has been able to do some damage there. But Schulte right now is laying out the most damage here in round number 1.
Yep, pass right back into mount. All he's got to do here is work some cross faces, really frame off the face of Gonzales, get some space there and do some damage. And now even here, Gonzales trying to build up, if he can, trap a wrist and get him onto the side on his shoulder so he can really get his back to the cage and let some hands loose.
Final few seconds of round number 1, one that Schulte's going to be proud to put into the books, as I think that went his way. We'll see if he can keep it up here in round number 2 on TVW. Round number 1, a good one for Schulte as we take a look at how it developed for him as he was able to land a good right hand here that kind of hobbled Gonzales, got him down there for a second, and then Schulte basically was in control from that point of the round on.
And he got his head low, got back down on a single leg for a second. Now he's going to drop to the legs and secure that top position. That's pretty much all she wrote for the rest of that round.
So round 2, and taking a look at both of the fighters in between that first round, Gonzales to me looked a little bit gassed, a little hunched over in his stool in between rounds.
Yeah, that was a lot of weight to be carrying on top of you for that long. So we'll see how he adjusts. If I'm in Gonzales' corner, I'm telling him, man, you got to let the hands go. You know, make this guy respect you. Give him a reason to not dictate the pace of the fight and where it takes place.
And Gonzales can win this fight on the feet. He just has to keep it there. This pressure that Schulte shows when he pushes him up or, you know, pressures forward against the cage, because he could easily take Gonzales down, as we saw in that last round. So Gonzales needs to keep the fight right here.
Trying to do that more here in the second round as he is keeping it in the center of the cage. Schulte now content now with not pressing the issue quite as much as he was in the first round.
Right. I like that overhand right, though, as we saw Gonzales open up with a flurry there. His head was pretty much straight up in the air, so if Schulte can just stay low and time it right, or maybe even block a couple punches and then interrupt Gonzales in the midst of throwing, yeah, he could really catch him clean there and do some damage, if not knock him out cold.
And when you see stuff like that happening with a striker like Gonzales, he's worried about getting pressured and forced against the cage or taken down. He pawed those kicks and those punches out there because he's so worried about this happening that it puts his chin in the air and then puts you in danger for something else coming. So it's a game that a fighter like Schulte can play without even knowing it, just by keeping the pressure up and letting your opponent know you're going to take him down eventually.
And Schulte caught off balance as well, and now, excuse me, with Schulte catching Gonzales off balance and now getting the takedown as well.
Right, and like Chris was saying, JT Schulte setting up that game, making him worry about the takedown, let him duck in with those two big punches, and then we saw him eventually set up. It was like kind of a modified step behind single leg, tripped him to the floor, and now it's, you know, judging off the first round, going to be really hard for Gonzales to get up. And here we see him, he's just kind of hanging on to his leg in half guard here, when really he should be looking to make space, possibly throw in a butterfly hook, use it to elevate Schulte's hips. You know, use something to create space between Schulte's chest and hips and his body so he can either get up or possibly frame off the cage.
Well, and what's so great about Schulte's ground game here, as we saw in the first round, now in the second, is the pressure and body positioning. The way that Gonzales is shoved up against the cage with his head, and any time he tries to move those hips out and the way he's trying to move to the right, Schulte just keeps his pressure on the left side. And look at just keeping Gonzales pushed up against the cage. Is he looking for a guillotine?
Looks like he's looking for a guillotine, yeah. Not quite in the right position to get it. I like where his head's at, though. And right here, he's doing well to keep his hips and his head above Gonzales so he can't get up. And here, it's going to be a little bit tighter, and that might be it.
He might have it in there. The crowd definitely roaring their approval and trying to help Schulte finish Gonzales here in the second round. Gonzales holding on for dear life here, as it has been Schulte's fight.
Schulte worked hard for that. I want to know how much that's going to take out of him here in the third round, because he didn't get it. So A, you're tired from doing it. Your right arm is tired from doing that. B, you're disappointed you didn't get that. So this is going to be interesting. Gonzales, that should give him a little heads up for the third round.
We will go ahead and check on Schulte's conditioning in round number 3. That is straight ahead on Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 18 and TVW. We're back with round number 3 right now between Schulte and Gonzales, as Gonzales again starting that third round like he tried to start that second round, and that's as a striker and trying to throw hands against JT Schulte.
Yeah, Schulte opened up with a good leg kick, but Gonzales is coming out of the gate swinging, and Schulte does look a little bit tired. You know, he's doing well to keep his defense up, but definitely not the same pressure that we saw in rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah, if you're Schulte, you want to get this fight to the ground as fast as possible. The longer he stands here tired, chin open like that, it's not going to be good.
Gonzales comfortable in this position right here. Schulte landing a kick there to the side of Gonzales, and now slipping down and catching a right as well as Gonzales. He tried to pop right back up, and that cost him.
Where did that kick land?
I think it only hit the body, but that almost turned into an old school soccer kick. That was a little bit of a dicey idea. Maybe Schulte thought he was going to pop back to his feet there and wanted to time it, but that's a little bit risky, especially when you're tired and you're this new to the game.
Well, Tom was right there, so obviously he had the best view. He didn't see anything, but yeah, that was really close.
So Schulte now back in a familiar position, and that is on top of Gonzales. Gonzales has spent the better part of this fight on his back, and when you're a striker like Gonzales, not where you want to be.
I see Schulte doing a really good job stepping over that arm and trapping the arm in half guard as well, so he has one less arm to block with on the bottom. And if you can keep that far side underhook and that arm trap, there's really no defense for Schulte's right hand. Not big shots, albeit, but enough to do a little bit of damage.
You obviously see the top control here of Schulte a lot different than the first 2 rounds. Now, he's obviously still strong enough, and his top game is better than Gonzales' bottom game at this point for it to be still a Schulte fight. But the way his pressure was those first 2 rounds, holding him up against the cage he was, doing as much damage, you obviously see that there is a little bit of fatigue playing in, but Schulte's still well in control of this fight.
Inside of a minute now for this fight before it goes to the judges. We think Schulte in pretty good position right here. And again, Gonzales was just content to let Schulte go right back on top of him here, as Gonzales once again in all kinds of trouble.
You see Schulte's trying to set up a little bit of an anaconda choke here, stuffing the head down now just to content and rain down punches.
Yeah, there really doesn't seem to be a lot of answers coming from the way of Gonzales.
Right, not for the lack of trying. See here, he's doing a little bit better job getting his back against the cage, getting a little bit more straight up and down, trying to attack the neck a little bit, but it's going to be too little, too late.
Schulte did not give Gonzales any room to basically breathe in this fight, as he's been on him all 3 rounds, and I think JT Schulte's got to feel pretty confident as we will go to the scorecards next on TVW. Take a look at how it unfolded in round number 3 between Gonzales and Schulte, as Gonzales always seems to score a little bit at the start of the round, but after that he didn't have much of an answer, especially for the ground game of JT Schulte.
All right, came out swinging, but again, too little, too late, and then the story of the fight, Schulte being on top, controlling him on the bottom, and just doing damage. Nothing huge, but consistent damage, and that's probably going to take a comfortable 30-27 decision.
And there was that slip, and then you saw Schulte come on in after that. We thought maybe a soccer kick, what have you. It really didn't matter, as Schulte was in control from that point on and for the rest of the fight, as he was for much of this fight. So not a lot of victories on the chosen few side here tonight. We saw one from Kalsher though recently, Skiro, and now it's Schulte trying to make it 3 in a row as we go to the scorecards.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of amateur lightweight action, we go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 judges have scored this bout the same, 30-27, in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, and fighting out of the blue corner, JT Schulte.
Easy fight for the judges to score, and a good win there for JT, as he is now 7-3 as an amateur. All right, next up, it is our first title fight of the night. It is at 115 pounds. It is an open title for the ladies. Yeah, a couple of strawweights, Linduska, Labai, coming up next on TVW.